Hey folks, welcome back. Today I'm going to chat about what questions you should do. So there's a lot of resources out there. And there's also a question of, should you do repeat questions? Should you just do new questions when you're studying? This applies for the MCAT. This applies for step 1, step 2, step 3. I think any standardized exam, any in-house exam, it doesn't matter. But specifically for USMLE, for step 1 and 2, you got to get your feet wet with a low-tier question bank. With a question bank, it doesn't cost that much, and really the point of it is not to learn so much of the in-depth knowledge, but just to learn how to take an exam, how to time yourself, how to build the confidence of clicking and moving forward, how to make the most educated guess or pick the best answer. And just get your muscle memory, your brain used to long, sustained 2, 3, 4 hour blocks of doing question after question after question after question. A lot of this exam is endurance. I think it was 240 questions for step 1 and then like 280 for step 2 maybe. So it's long, it's 8-hour day. So I started off with USMLERX and Pastest. You just get through those, somewhat fast-paced. You don't have to milk them as much because they're not the best question banks. They're just for learning. You got to get your feet wet. Then there's the gold standard. There's Amboss, there's Uworld, and there's this new one, Truelearn, which is not yet fully, it's not well established, not proven yet, but I used it for step 2. I think it was useful. With Amboss, you can start with Amboss and USMLERX. One of the useful features is you can select based on difficulty. So you can do all the easy ones, all the first 1 hammers, 2 hammers, 3 hammers, and you can kind of step by step build up your knowledge base. And then of course there's Uworld. Uworld is the gold standard. You only get one shot. You can't waste Uworld. Uworld has to be random, has to be when you're in the thick of studying, when you have your flow, when your routine is established, when you're really gonna, milk it for as much as it can give you. Definitely you gotta finish Uworld before the exam. I think even though step 1 is pass-fail, you should still finish Uworld before step 1 because that knowledge is gonna help you for step 2. Now here's the kicker, here's the question. What questions do you do? And what do I mean by that? There's a question of Q banks, of course. There's a question of topics, and I'm telling you random. Now the question is new versus old questions, okay? You should never do repeat questions. You should never do repeat questions because they're a waste of time, just like repeat Anki cards are. Total waste of time. You need to be constantly doing novel new questions, okay? And that's the whole reason of doing more than one Q bank. That's the whole reason of high volume practice. Like Dan the Man MD said, he has a video that's like 30 minutes long. He got a 272. I know my place in this world. I only got a 262, so I'm giving you little chunks. I don't deserve a 30-minute video, but he clearly elucidates. Not the repeat questions are a waste of time. You have to do new questions, okay? 10,000, 12,000, 14,000 new questions. Each time you're doing that question, you're learning. You're actually learning. You're not just recalling, oh, the last time the answer was this. There's no familiarity. There's no false sense of security of, oh, I'm getting this right, and you think it's because you remember the concept and you remember the pathology, but really it's because you're familiar with that question stem and you're familiar with the answer choices that you picked last time. And the line is blurred when you're doing repeat questions. You just don't know, okay? I think it's always going to be a false sense of security. You have to do new questions every single time, and don't tell me, oh, well, I'm not going to see that concept again. If you don't see that concept again, it's not important. That's why, okay? When you do new questions and you do high volume and you do 10,000 questions or 12,000 questions, you know what's high yield. You have pattern recognition. You know how to pick out the most important topics, the most important parts of the case of the question stem. You pick up on new concepts, themes, and you actually, if you get it wrong twice, 3, 4 times, you're actually learning, okay? And then eventually, once you hit 10,000 questions and you do another 3,000, if you keep getting that question wrong, that concept, then oh, there's something wrong with the way you're reviewing the test, and you can identify that. And they talk about it too. You know, the revered Dan the Man MD and AJ, they talk about it, and they say, well, if you're getting the same concept with new novel questions wrong 3-4 times in a row, which is going to come up if you're actually doing high volume, then okay, now you actually know that there's a problem in your study practice, in the way you're reviewing stuff. But if you get the question right after, you know, whatever, it's a repeat question, you don't know if you're studying the right way or if you're just remembering. And it's just not a way it's not a proper way to gauge. So stop wasting time with repeat questions. Only do new questions. Finish one question bank or do 2 question banks at a time, and move on to the next one. Finish them. New questions, new questions, new questions.